Chris is 14. His dad's not home. He runs inside of the fridge, and what does he see? He sees Corona and he sees Bacardi. Chris is with his two cousins, Jay and Anthony. They grab the Coronas and run to the park, hiding them, making sure other adults don't see them in the neighborhood. They crack them open and then they start drinking them. They get a little buzz, but they act like they're so drunk. They acted as if that one decision wouldn't lead to a lifetime of consequences. They're drinking. Another weekend goes by, they're drinking. A few months go by, we're going to parties now. We're getting a little bit older. The party goes from the club goes to the after party. 10, 15 years have gone by, and it has become almost a way of life. For all three of us, it became a way of destruction. Last year, I made a video, it'll be up here somewhere. I got arrested, and I was 2 weeks sober before I got arrested. When I got out after one day, I wanted to drink very, very badly. The reason why I wanted to drink is because drinking for me wasn't about getting lit. It was almost like a cope. When you have so much on your plate, your family's counting on you, customers all around the world is counting on you, you at war with yourself. It's a lot of unlearning, relearning. It's a lot of resistance. This is your first time ever going through it, running a brand, running a company, having a business. Then you live in a double life. Well, I was cheating. I look like a faithful man. I'm doing my thing in the street. I just need to numb myself just to cope and avoid external problems that I just didn't want to look at. When I rewind all the way back to when I was a kid at 14 years old grabbing my dad's Corona, when you're young, you act as if consequences aren't going to happen. It's a lot of slaps on the wrist, right? I got suspended for bringing a gun to school. Oh, I get into a fight, I get suspended. You act like there's no consequences. But as you get older, you still move in that same identity because that's all you know. It's almost like a kid that's been smoking weed since 12 years old. He 24, he been in it for 12 years and like he's still achieving because it's just a way of life now. But then as he keeps getting older, when it's time for him to let go of that thing, the resistance is so internally strong. It's so hard for him to let go of it, right? It's just like, this is my identity and this is who I am. I wouldn't say that I was addicted to alcohol, but the only thing with alcohol and me was just a coping thing, and I just needed to numb a lot of stuff. A lot of myself lived in my past as far as like my childhood and the trauma experiences I went through with my mom. And then a lot of stuff was going on even in the past, even with my own father, verbal abuse, me feeling some type of way about a lot of things on even how he feels and thinks about my mom. Even though that me and my parents, we all have like a cool relationship. Certain foul things that I've done in the past that it was very hard for me to deal with and like look in the mirror with myself in. When I got arrested and when I quit, well, I wouldn't say I quit because I will go back to drinking, but I said I'm not drinking until I hit this one goal, and it was 2 weeks before I got arrested. I still have not hit that goal, and I'm glad that I haven't, because this past year has made me see clearer than ever. I see everything for what it truly is. I see who's my real friends. I see who's really there for me when there's no substance abuse involved. And that goes for women and that goes for men. And it has given me like a new direction, a new identity of way of living. Now, when I say that I am going back to drinking, I will be drinking again once I reach this goal. But the goal is so far up that it will bring like the average automaton human that doesn't think and they don't have a sense of self. And I'm not dissing nobody if that's you. But when I say it's like this financial goal that I have to reach, and if I don't hit that, I'm not sipping one lick of alcohol. So obviously I haven't reached that goal because I'm looking at it like, well, what type of dude do I need to become to even reach that goal? Because obviously if I was in that identity. So I'm kind of looking at everything as far as like, what are the right things I need to be doing? Who are the right quality people I need to have around? And not only that, like I always check myself internally on like, where's my desire level on really arriving to that? And if all of those three things right there are checkbox, I know I'm going to get there. I can't control the controllables. I'll leave it up to God, but I know that I am going to get there sooner than later. So that's how kind of I'm setting my own standard now when it comes to like drinking and having fun. Yeah, when I hit this goal, for sure, I'm going on the bender. But for then, there's no need to be drinking. I have no escapisms. I have to look at reality for what the fuck it is right in the mirror every single day. And drinking, you know, pushed me away from all of that throughout all of my 20s, throughout my late teens. So if you a young person watching this, if you know that you want more in life, I'm not saying to drink and I'm not saying don't drink. All I'm just saying is, you know, me officially taking a year off of alcohol was the greatest thing that I could have ever done. Not just only that, you know, one of my other reasons why I wanted to do it was for my son, you know, because my son, unfortunately, you know, and this is to not diss on anybody, but it's a lot of degeneracy that my son sees on both sides of his family, you know, and me being his father and me being his Batman, you know, at which how every single son should be looking at their father, you know. I don't want my son to see me ever really have like a dull mind, because that's when he realizes like, oh, he's not this Superman, he's not my Batman, and that's when the disrespect and then the no belief comes into play, right? And for me, I'm not saying like, obviously I know one day I'll probably get drunk with my son, have a sip with him or whatever, but I feel like in these young adolescent ages that he's in, you know, I just want him to see his dad moving firm. I want him to see his dad training like a Spartan. He thinks like a limitless man. He loves like a superior man, and I just want him to see that embodiment of his dad. I just gave him the world, and I'm not always lethargic and tired and always having hangovers, and I can't play with him because I'm out of shape and I'm fat, all because of drinking and all because of bad habits. It really just all comes down into this. I'm not trying to go on this huge tangent. You either in life are disciplined or you're destructive. It's night and day. It's white and black. There's no gray in between. It's either you disciplined as fuck or you destructive. Anything that you overindulge in, you have a destructive ass pattern. If you can't go 40 days with no sex, no alcohol, no junk food, you're addicted. So with me, all throughout my 20s was alcohol, up all night, the hangovers, the club, and shit like that. I even tell my mentees when it comes to even running a brand, if you guys don't know who I am, obviously like I ran a clothing brand majority of my life, or like 1/3 of my life. I tell them all the time though, it's like, you can't have both in this world. You gotta choose one. Everybody had to go that route. Malcolm X, do I stay a pimp, a drug dealer, X, Y, and Z, or do I convert completely over to the nation? I'm no alcohol, promiscuity, no sex, no none of that until marriage. You can't juggle both. Like one of them has to get sacrificed. Nipsey Hussle was the same way. Do I stay a Rolling 60s Crip, or do I become this mogul? Became a mogul. So when I looked at my life, you know what I'm saying? I was like, do I just stay where I'm at right here, or do I just say fuck it and I know that I'm meant for more and I max out my highest potential? And one of those things that had to get sacrificed as an overindulged thing was alcohol. Now, if you know how to control your alcohol and stuff like that, God bless you. You know, I know how to control it as well, but for me, it was one of those things where I was literally just like drinking to be drinking. And I wasn't drinking to get drunk. Like I'm just always having a cup in my hand all day, every day. It would be fucking 1, 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I'm sipping Crown Apple in my truck, like driving around. And that's when shit just started to get like real wiggly and real nasty. You know, I got myself out of a whole bunch of DUIs in my 20s, all from my mouthpiece, because I'm a good seller. It was like a whole bunch of things where I just like looked at and I was like, man, I got a son, let me become the highest version of myself. And one of those things that had to get sacrificed so I can look at the truth, look at everything in my life from a 30,000 foot lens, and really just look down at everything from the good, the bad, the pros, the cons. So when I come back to the land, I just know how to maneuver once I get back on the ground, and just know what potholes to get away from, what people to kind of dodge and just stay out the way, or reach that limitless man that, you know, I know that I'm bound to be. That's kind of like my whole story. You know, I'm 1 year sober. I don't know how long I'm gonna be sober. Like I said, like I'm staying sober until I reach a certain goal. And I think that's how it should be. You shouldn't be drinking or smoking if you're still doing the same shit that you was doing from 5 fucking years ago. And my life started to become that. Not as far as like the financial part, because I was like always in my bag when I was like in my 20s. It was the repeated thing. The same girls, the same downtown, the same Chinatown, the same strip clubs. And then I started looking at myself from a 10-year out lens. Okay, like if I'm 30, the 40-year-old version of me, like, is he really in these clubs? Is he a married man? What does a married man look like? Does he have a dull fucking mind? Like, that's why I was like really asking myself, does a marriageable man that's respected by the world, by the community, by his woman, by his foundation of his family, does he have a dull mind? Is he sitting around bullshit and drinking all day? No, he's not. Once I started moving from like that lens, that's when my life just started to change for me. And it started started changing in a very chaotic time, because this is a time where I'm not seeing my son. You know, it was 2 weeks before I went to jail and stopped seeing my son for a very long time, only seeing him a few times throughout the year. Like I said, I got the video of that somewhere on the screen, but I just wanted to make this video, you know, just to give somebody out there some inspiration, some hope, some perspective on what I'm feeling and how it feels being a year completely sober. It's one hell of a feeling. There was one point in my time where I didn't even think that this was possible. I was so identified to alcohol. I was so identified to the dude holding the Hennessy bottles and the Crown Apple bottles and the Cirocs growing up. I was like, there's no way that like I'm gonna stop drinking. But you know, my son was a huge motivation to that. My son C3, Chris the Third, you heard. I just wanted to say that I love my son for that. You know, he's changed me to make me a better man all around the spectrum. It's not just financially, emotionally, spiritually, just my whole embodiment as a man. That's my whole entire take on being a year sober. If you guys like this type of video, please like, comment, subscribe below. You know, I don't want to really make the dopamine videos for like these real testimonial type of videos that I'm doing, as far as like things that I've actually embraced and actually went through. And I just didn't want to do the dopamine shit on this. I just wanted to keep it raw, uncut, and just pure as possible. So I know I was probably all over the place. It's early in the morning where I'm at. It's only 8. I've been making videos since 5 a.m. But I'm not gonna hold y'all up. I just wanted to say before I leave to always remember that you always want to divorce from the result and you want to embrace the craft. Always remember that. You want to get anything in life, just embrace the craft, divorce from the result. Next thing you know, the result gonna start chasing you rather than you chasing it. With all that being said, Makaveli is out. Peace.